See, it's stuff like this that gives me trust issues.
Welcome to the Trust Issues Podcast. We have trust issues with the traditional society-dictated path, with the status quo, with the whole get an education, land a job, and work tirelessly until you're 6 feet under. It's time to upgrade your life with the help of us. I'm Erica.
And I'm Kyle Auckland. We're a husband and wife duo, but we're also entrepreneurs, biohackers, and business builders.
Every week, we're dedicated to having purposeful conversations with each other and leading experts on topics like wellness, relationships, and entrepreneurship.
Subscribe to Trust Issues Podcast if you're looking for bold topics, honest dialogue, and valuable lessons.
Welcome back to another episode of the Trust Issues Podcast. Do you have a nagging voice that it's time to maybe leave your 9-to-5? Maybe it's time to pursue other ventures and take your entrepreneurial dreams and make them happen? Well, today we're going to talk about how to create an action plan on how to leave your 9-to-5. And Kyle here is someone who has lived this journey. I'll be honest with you. I never had a 9-to-5. So I've learned so much through this experience of watching you create a plan, you leave the job that you were in. But I think a lot of people who listen to the show, maybe you're in a current career, you're wanting to branch out. You want to follow your dreams. You want to work for yourself. We get it. That has been us. So we're going to give you an action plan today on how to do that.
Yeah. No, and that's leaving a 9-to-5. I mean, myself, probably like many others, is you've probably worked multiple 9-to-5s. I've been in many different industries over the years, and it's some I've really enjoyed, but still wanted more. Others I couldn't stand and was just a paycheck, really, you know? So I think really more of this is going to be speaking towards people who are kind of just getting a paycheck and they're not passionate and they don't have a why with what they're doing and they're looking for something more to satisfy them.
So good.
Yeah, because I think that you really need to distinguish the difference between that, because there's a lot of people who have 9-to-5s who actually love their job.
Right.
So like,
and if you love what you do, like love
Yes.
what you do. There's no shame in that.
No, that's...
We're not telling you need to leave a job that you love.
Yes.
But if you want to find passion, I love what you said.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of lead in starting with that. So, and even for me personally, one of the jobs I really loved was when I was managing a fitness facility, basically an operations manager. I was personal training my own clients while managing all the stuff on the back end, but it was exhausting. So I felt there was a ceiling over top of me and I couldn't break through that. So I think if you are in a job that you do like, but you know you want more and you can't get it at that exact place, I think that's where you start planting the seed of like, okay, let's start making the actionable steps to try and figure out how to break out of this or start something on the side. Whatever you're starting to feel, I think that's where you have to start game planning. You can't just one day be like, I hate this job, I quit. And you know, I'm going to just throw my resume out there or whatever it is, trying to find something new. So it does take time to walk away. And I think for me, it was that job that I did like, but there was the ceiling on top of me. And it was like me and you started having those conversations together collectively of like, okay,
what would this look like?
Yes.
If you didn't work here anymore.
Yes. How are we going to make this feasible? Like, yet, you know, still take care of ourselves and not just like sink the ship just so I could get out of something I didn't like. Right. So one of those things was you, in your career, you started moving forward. So things were getting better on your end, which was great because that allowed me to really assess what I wanted to do at the time.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, I can not pause, but like when I did have free time, it really allowed me to think about what I really wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And you're so good with making plans and some things. So you were able to sit down with me and be like, okay, let's start knocking some of this stuff out.
Well, it's like making a plan, I think, allows you to actually take a dream and make it a reality.
Exactly.
And it takes it from a pipe dream to, okay, now this is actually possible.
Yes.
And I think that's where so many people kind of find themselves in the just day in, day out, the repetition of they've found themselves working for someone that they don't love and they're not exactly fulfilled and they've been doing it for 5, 10, 15 years. And you're so in it. And sometimes when you're so in it, it's hard to zoom out and say, what would this look like if it was different?
Yeah.
But you only have one life and you're not here for very long.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel passion for what you do deserve to pursue something else. You do deserve to pursue. And you are such a loyalist in how you operate. I am not that way. And so I've
said it so many times. I'm an amazing employee.
You are.
I can be so like, I will put my head down and work as, you know what I mean? So that that was almost a problem for me. Cause
It
you'd be
was.
like, hey, you come home, you complain about things, you know, you got to start.
And there was that point where you were coming home and venting and complaining and you were not happy. And I was like, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point? If you're not happy doing this, what is the point? There has to be a better way. And I think that's where you became open-minded slowly to saying, okay, we can pursue something else. I don't have to be here.
Yeah.
And so let's dive into the action plan, because, and I think we can kind of weave our story in through all of this, but we created some steps for you. So if you're listening and you're thinking, I want to work for myself or pursue a dream that I've had, but like, how do I even go there? Like it's sometimes it's very hard. And I think that's sometimes the trap of the 9-to-5 is you do have a lot of comfort in that predictability. And I was speaking to a friend the other day at a mastermind it was at, and I'm in the process of starting this new project that I'm working on. And she said, sometimes you have to eat shit for a little bit. Like, you know, sometimes it's like, it's going to be grindy. It's going to be scrappy. Like sometimes you got to eat a little shit before you can actually be on the top of the mountaintop. And I think a lot of people aren't willing to do that. And that's why they stay in a place where they're not happy. And it's like, but sometimes you have to be willing to give up mediocre or even good for something really great.
And really, I would say 9.5 out of 10 times, wherever you're at, you're going to be taking a step back to start basically a dream or whatever it is you're pushing for. So when you were saying like, you got to eat shit for a little bit, like if you're going to leave your 9-to-5 and just start something new or whatever it is, like you're a rookie. You are going to be eating some shit for a little bit. So if you can swallow that and just get over that of like, hey, I'm taking a step back, but this is going to be better in the long run. It's going to, you know, that's going to help you out knowing that up front instead of being like, once you get in that and you're like, oh boy, this is way harder than I thought. This is,
you have to quiet your ego.
You
have to quiet the ego. The ego is the enemy, as we say.
Yes.
So I think the first thing is knowing your why. You know, what is your why? What's the thing that's driving you?
Yeah.
We all have reasons for what we do. I think each of us has different reasons. For me, I think so much of the things that drive me in life are freedom and their autonomy and financial security, financial freedom to be able to create my own income and not have to have that in somebody else's hands. Yeah. I think everyone has those inner things that pushes them to make the decisions that they're making, take steps, completely change directions. Yeah. What were some of the things that was your why for why you said, okay, I'm willing to now pursue getting out of my 9-to-5? What were the things that were driving you? One,
it's kind of funny. It was my health in a way. That was a big why for me because I was so burnt out. I was starting to hate my passion, which was health and fitness. And I was helping all these other people achieve their health and fitness, but mine was declining. It was like I was feeling like crap. My body was hurting, and it was like, what am I doing? Like you got to that point, and I'm like, okay. So, and you know, we had that conversation of like when I would leave and how that would look. And it was when you were like, all right, what is your why? And number one for me, it was my health, because if I didn't have my health, I couldn't take care of you. And now look where we are now. We have our son. It's like, it's even stronger now. Now it's like, okay, I really got to take care of myself, like, because other people rely on me. And it's, you know, that was just a big piece of it. So yes, my health was number one. Not even, it's never been about money, but it has been about the time freedom of what money can allow you to do. So options of like, hey, I would like to build something to the point where on, you know, a Tuesday we can just spend time together. And now that we have a son, it's like, that means even more now. It's like to have those days where you can completely pull back from what you're working on just to enjoy time with your family. That's how it should be, you know? Right. So yeah, health, the time freedom, those were my two biggest ones. Because those were the two that were really falling behind. Because it was like every day of the week I was plugged into work. I'd come home at night and we didn't even really talk. It was like 9 o'clock. I'd rinse off, lay on the couch, time for bed. Yeah. You know? So like those are my two biggest ones.
And I've seen you literally have those two things, you know? I mean, you got healthier than I've ever seen you, put on more muscle than I've ever seen you have, you know, get stronger. Yeah. And after we record these podcasts today, we're going to the splash pad and we're taking Dawson to go play in the sun.
So that's the two right there.
That's our life, because we worked hard to create that, but it wasn't without sacrifice. I think, what about urgency? Because I think urgency is such an important key too, because it's one thing to say, oh, in the future, I'm going to do this, or in the future, I'm going to have this, and to dream about it. But it's another thing to do it and to actually create it and pursue it. And for me, I know that when I'm way more impatient than you. I am so like, when I want something, I want it now, and I'm going to do it now. And like when inspiration strikes me, I literally will move Mount Heavens. I'll move the heavens. I can't talk.
Yes.
I will literally,
I'll
move a mountain. I will move a lot of things in order to have my dreams. But you're a little bit more of like a slow burn type of person. But I think like it's important to have both, you know, and it's like balance. Like sometimes I'm a little extreme. I think sometimes you're a little slow. But that's not an insult. I literally have gotten so, and this is just in the past couple months, I've gotten so much better with dreaming and vision casting and looking towards the future, where before I never would. So like I would have these conversations with you that like I was just always going through something, whether it was health or just annoyed with work, whatever was going on, you'd be like, okay, do something about it. And I'd be like, well, what do you mean? Just do something about it. Like, you were literally like, let's go, make the decision. And I was like, like, what do you mean? I'm a little psycho.
Yeah. And I couldn't do that. And it got to a point where you were, it was one day you were just like, look you need to stop. And we're moving. Like we need to go.
I was like, no. I didn't say that. I said, I'm leaving. I said, I'm packing my shit. And if you want to come, great. I'm taking the dogs and I'm going because I can't stay here anymore. And you were like, I think she's serious.
I think this is it. This is my time. This is it. But, and I will say a great point to go into this is, if you are maybe someone who's single and going through this battle of what you should do with your future, if you want to leave your job, it's like reach out to someone who you trust, who is a mentor or someone who can be your accountability partner with this, because this is a big step. Walking away from a 9-to-5, it's huge. This is walking away from security, even though it is tough. Like even though you may not be happy per se, but security, a lot of people will take survival over like 100%. Yeah. Yes. So trying to do this completely alone
is really hard.
You might not do it. That's just if I didn't have you being like, hey, and as time went on, the pressure got harder. You pushed on me harder, so I mean, having you open this all up. So I think
cheers. Cheers to me busting your balls because listen, sometimes y'all, you just got to bust each other's balls and be like, listen, like you're being a baby back bitch right now. It's time to go. Yeah. Like it's time to do the thing.
Yes.
I think that's so important. What about like on the hard days? I think like when it was like, and that's a thing sometimes too, is like when you like make a mental decision, it's so weird. Like your brain, it's your subconscious. Yeah. Your subconscious will be like, we'll try to show you evidence of like, no, don't make that move. That's too scary. Like your subconscious will be like, see, and maybe like the next day after we had a conversation and we're like, we're moving, we're leaving, and we know this internally, right? And like the next day at work, it's like, oh, see, it's not that bad. Like it's not that bad. You almost like play this mind game with yourself of like, 100%. It's not as bad as I'm making it, but your subconscious is trying to keep you safe. Your subconscious is like, don't do something too scary. We don't want to like risk it all. But I think on the hard days though, I think we just kept having the conversation of like what this could look like, how it was going to change our life, how we were going to up level. And I will say this, like every single time you and I have made really big moves like this, whether it's we've moved states, we've changed jobs, like we've done crazy things, it always, like whenever we listened to our gut, whenever we prayed about things, whenever we listened to our gut, we always came out the other side being like, thank God. We'd always be like, can you imagine if we were still there? Like, what were we thinking? We should have done it sooner. Like, we always say that. There's literally never one time we were like, oh man, we shouldn't have taken the risk. Like, we were always like, thank God.
Yeah. Well, and I think it even touches back to what you said, how like life is too short. It's like, you do not want to get to a point where you look back and you're like, oh my God, I regret not changing. I mean, I just read a stat yesterday. It was like the updated life expectancy for people in the U.S.
No, I don't want to hear it.
Men are 76 and a half. Women are 79 and a half.
I don't want to live longer than you.
So like,
you can't leave.
You don't have as
sooner.
You don't have as much time.
Oh, but also we do not prescribe to those.
100%.
We do not prescribe
That's
to
standard
those.
American diet, standard American. You know what I mean?
Y'all better get your shit together because
trust issues.
We've got to live long. Okay, we've got a lot of stuff to do. We got a lot of family time to have. Okay, so let's talk about money because I think obviously there's a financial side of when you're gonna leave your job. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm gonna leave. Like, I'm gonna leave this paycheck. What on the financial end of things? Obviously, I think for us, we had created a business. I had created my business where I basically said, I'm going to replace my income. Did that.
Yeah.
I'm going to replace your income. And did that.
You did.
And once we did that, we were like, we're out of here. Bye. And I think that's where you guys, you know, if you're listening, you have to realize setting those financial goals. I mean, it's super important. Push yourself really hard so that you can have that.
Yeah.
That financial, some type of, obviously if you work for yourself, like there's always risks and whatever, but there's also risks in work and jobs, and people could fire you tomorrow. You never know. There's no security really.
You are replaceable.
That security is very much an illusion.
But I was going to say, what you just said there, you were like, I replace my income and then I replace yours. To some might be like, oh, well, that's easy for them to do. It's like a cheat code, whatever you want to say. But it's like, no, in reality,
we busted our
if
ass.
you sit down and you map out what you want, especially your goals, and like your goal was like, well, I'm going to replace your income so you can leave. You basically like, you pushed your ceiling up even higher. You were like, I have more capacity. Like I have a new goal I'm chasing after. Like you basically lit that match of like, I'm doing this.
And that's a thing.
Speaking about those goals out loud, especially with someone you love, your spouse, it opens the capacity up even.
And I'm the type of person that I need goals like that to drive me. Because if I don't have goals, I can get super complacent. I'm just like, because money doesn't really motivate me. I'll be honest. Like, and I think I've realized this about myself. Money doesn't motivate me. It's the freedom that motivates me. It's the things that money gives me. So even when I've hit like milestones in my personal business, it was never about, oh, I want to make more money. I could care. I don't feel anything when I don't feel much when I see my paycheck.
Yeah.
Ironically, oddly, I don't feel it, but it's like, what can that paycheck do for us? Oh, Kyle can leave his job. Oh, we can buy property. Oh, we can build our house. Oh, we can retire family. Oh, we can, that's what I get so amped up about. So I think when you're creating that financial plan, I think there's a mindset aspect that I want to encourage you if you're listening and you want to figure out how can you push yourself. You need to get super deeply connected to that financial why and that financial purpose and attach that monetary value to something in your life that is actually going to feel like, and get into the feeling of it. Get into the feeling of how's it going to feel when I make that money? How's it going to feel when I can write that check for that thing, or when I can, see my husband walk away from his last day of work and we go out to dinner and celebrate? What is that going to feel like? Visualize that, embody it, get it into your cells. Yeah. Because that's, for me, I'm not super logistic in terms of, you're way more logistic of this is how much our bills are. This is how much we have to cover. I was so much more driven by the feeling that it was going to give me. And that just like burned so like strong in me that I would literally do anything to make it happen.
Yeah. And going off of what you just said, where like on my end, what I'm good at is like, if this is the leap you're going to take, right? The action plan for your finances, it's like, okay, this is where you have to start taking stock of like, obviously how much money you're bringing in, whether bi-weekly, monthly, whatever you want to do. Start looking at all your bills, start looking at all of your extra expenses. Like this is a time where if you're going to be making a shift or you want to, like you might have to reel it in on certain things with, going out to eat, or maybe you have to choose between Netflix or Hulu, like only pick one, don't pay for two. You know what I mean? Like these little things you need to start taking stock of. For us, it was like, okay, we're going to be moving to a new city. All right, what's our budget for rent?
We're going to pay
all of those things. We knew we were going to
deposit month. We're going to
start mapping out all those little details so you have a perfect picture of like what things are going to cost and how much you're bringing in. And once you basically make that shift, like to have that barrier of like, okay, this is how much money I'm going to have for this amount of time.
I also would say two things to this, and this is contradictory, but hear me out.
No, sure.
Number one is plan to have extra.
Yeah.
Because extra stuff comes up all the time. Like
absolutely.
Oh, like your transmission blows. Oh, there's another expense. There's things that come up all the time. But also, don't wait until it's perfect before you jump.
That's a great point.
And I think this is the thing that people, because there is an extent that planning serves.
For sure.
And then at a point you have to just rip the Band-Aid and jump off the ledge. Yeah. Like you just don't underestimate your ability to figure things out as you go. Yeah. And listen, there have been times where we have really not known where rent was going to come from.
Absolutely.
There have been times where really we're late on bills. That has happened to us more times than I can count, but we always figured it out. And honestly, there's a part of you that is built in that tough spot when you're backed up against a corner that really shows you your resourcefulness, and it really shows you what you're capable of.
Yeah.
And the human spirit, I feel like, is has so much more capacity than we even give it credit for sometimes. And so, yes, I am like, plan the plan. We have a whole notepad here of a bunch of plans you can make, having your expenses and everything. But you know what? It's not going to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not going to feel comfortable. Leaving is going to feel like, what am I doing? Am I insane? Am I crazy? But you got to feel that sometimes. You got to feel the heat of it on your back and to really find out what you are made of.
Well, and it's funny because on our personal journey, like you said, we've jumped off the ledge a couple times. We've moved around to different places. We've uprooted ourselves and just blindly went to a couple different spots over the years. And it's like, I always think back and laugh about it because, like, we talked about you have to remove your ego, you have to eat shit for a little bit. And it's like, I remember when we first moved to Charlotte, I could have done multiple things that might have taken a little bit of time, but like, I went there, I knew what we needed to make for certain bills and rent, and I was like, dude, I'm going to go down to Lowe's and get a job. Because if I get a job at Lowe's, I know I'm going to get this much money each time. It's basically a guaranteed job right away. And like, I went and did that for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I went from like still having some clients doing my thing, but it was like, I need to make some more money for the time being so we can get where we need to be, like a buffer. And it was like Lowe's, And we went down.
You had a lot of fun there.
I love
You made a lot of friends there.
Forklift certified, baby.
Hey, watch out.
So,
you have this certification.
That's right. Yeah. So, you have to be humble through it. You have to let go of the ego. And it's like, if your dreams are really that big and you want them bad enough, like, you will do what it takes. And it's like, I can say we did do that.
We did. And I will say on a tangible level, so if you say you need to leave your 9-to-5 because it's not fulfilling you and you want to make more white space in your calendar to actually pursue the dream, that's something to not discount. Can you pick up a side hustle? Can you have a part-time gig? Can you, this is so long ago, but just as an example, I remember when I was first starting my entrepreneurial journey, my parents owned restaurants my whole life. So I always worked in my parents' restaurants, and I would bring my laptop to the restaurant, and I would bring my book, and I would literally go, and when the hours were slow, I would like sneak away. And I think the other servers hated me for this, but I would literally go and I would like work on my laptop. I would work on my computer. I would create a funnel. I would do all these things on my computer while I was there at work because it allowed me to do that. So maybe there's a way that you can do that. There's a way for you to pick up some extra jobs, And I think another thing too is don't discount like pitching yourself. Don't discount pitching yourself. And I just want to give a shout out actually to my personal trainer. We actually had her on the podcast earlier, and she was someone who she pitched herself to me. We didn't, we really hardly knew each other. We followed each other on Instagram, but she was in a job. She was employed. She had an employer, and her dream was to branch out and work for herself and start her own fitness business, personal training business. And she messaged me one day and was like, hey, like if you ever need a personal trainer, let me know. And I was like, actually, I kind of do. So like, don't be afraid to pitch yourself. Now she's a personal trainer for me, a bunch of other amazing clients.
Yeah.
She's built her own personal training business. It gives me chills to see what she's done. And she's left that job that was sucking her soul dry. And she created her dream because of her willingness to be bold.
Yeah. So with her, it was just literally a simple question. And it's like, if she didn't ask that to you,
I don't know. What would have happened?
Yeah, what would have happened, So literally just putting
Pitch
yourself
yourself
out there. It's like the worst someone can say is no.
Pitch yourself. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too that I want to say is not everything's permanent. So if you are in a phase of where you're starting a business and maybe you can offer one-to-one services to start, that doesn't have to be permanent. That doesn't, maybe that's because I think there's an element of thinking, is my business scalable? Can I actually scale this business? Can it give me the things that we're talking about, the time, the freedom, the flexibility? Maybe initially it won't.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too about like eating shit for a little bit. Like maybe initially it won't, but that's not always permanent, but it just gets you out there. And oftentimes it gets you in the right circles with the right people, and you have no idea how it's going to lead into another opportunity. And not everything's permanent, So it's like, get yourself out there, pitch yourself, start booking a client, start whatever business that you're in, start generating some revenue. Get yourself a win.
Yes.
Get yourself a win. And stackable wins. Kyle,
I always say that. I'm like,
every day I want to slap you.
Start stacking wins, baby.
Well,
even if they're small.
It'll be something like, oh, Dawson went down for a nap like
stackable
win. You're just stacking them on top of each other.
right.
We have a tower of wins at this point. So yeah, I think that that's all really, really important when it comes to the financial piece. I think the other thing is, and we've kind of weaved this in, but talking about your mindset.
Yeah.
I think, it's the expectation that it's going to be hard. And I think that you have to understand that you're going from one industry to another, of corporate or 9-to-5 world to self-employment to, from comfort and predictability to now unpredictability and discomfort. And your feelings of discomfort are not a red flag that are going to tell you to stop. They're just telling you that, okay, this is new. You're
buffering outside of your comfort zone right now.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all that is.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's like, get back. Yeah.
Right? But I think that's where you are really built. And you're really built in that discomfort. And so, consistency is so key. I think that, whenever you start anything from zero, it's super scary. Yeah. I mean, we are starting a lot of things right now this year. This year, 2023, has been our year of starting new things. We started this podcast. Like, you're starting a business. I have another thing that I'm starting, a project that I can't wait to share more with you guys. But that doesn't feel good all the time. But the dream is always worth it. And I think that ultimately is why your why is so important. If you keep that out in front of you, it will pan out. Like, it will be worth the work.
Well, and the more you take these steps into being uncomfortable and outside of your comfort zone, like, the bigger your comfort zone is going to grow. Like, you're just going to keep reabsorbing where you are. And then it might last a little bit. And then you're going to be like, it just gets bigger, right?
Yeah.
It just gets bigger. It's like
your
Pac-Man.
Capacity.
Literally, it's like, so your capacity gets bigger.
You say it's like Pac-Man?
Yeah. You
I
absorb,
love that.
eat all the little, you know what I mean? Eat them all.
I like that.
Yeah. So
we're just Pac-Maning it up over here.
That's right. And it's like for a couple of years now, we've been, I don't want to say comfortable, but like
pretty comfortable.
Maybe. And then we're just like, but the past year we've had that itch again, and it was like, okay, what's going on?
What's next?
Yeah. What's next? Okay. We're here now. We have Dawson, like we're and it's on to the next thing. And we've been uncomfortable. And it's the stress, the pressure, oh my God, what are we doing? But we're running through it.
And I think one thing that has really helped our mindsets and our capacity grow is we have so many conversations with each other about all of this and our dreams and the things we're working towards. But I also think that we've also had outside mentors too. And I think 100%. That's, finding a person who could just make you feel normal. And I think, I just got back from a mastermind. I joined a mastermind at the beginning of this year, and it was 2 incredible days. Women, 7-8-figure entrepreneurial women who are just crushing life and building major businesses. Ironically, though, a lot of us are at the beginning of new businesses or at the beginning of new projects. And, I'm coming in like feeling, okay, I want to get this podcast off the ground. And we all had these different ideas and stuff. What was really cool is we're all in different industries. But when I walked away, I was kind of reflecting. I sat in the plane and I just brain dumped. I wrote for like 2 straight hours in my journal. Yeah. And the first thing I wrote in my journal was, we are all more alike than we are different. And I think that was a powerful realization for me. Because when we isolate ourselves, we think that our problems are unique to us and that nobody else is going through them. But the truth is that everybody who's ever quit a 9-to-5 has felt the same way. Anyone who's ever started an entrepreneurial path has felt the same way. Anybody who has been broken by business but broken by life has felt the same way. Yeah. We've all felt it. We've all dealt with it. You are not alone. Get yourself in a circle of people who you can talk to about this. Get yourself in connection. Yeah. I think women are really naturally good at this. Men probably a little bit more challenging because men aren't as open sometimes. I think
we're getting better.
But I think there's there's a lot of growth happening there.
Yeah.
Because we all go through the same things and we're not alone. So I think the last thing is just developing a plan. What is your actual business plan? And this is where, when you were walking away from your previous career, we sat down together and we wrote out, okay, what is the plan? Yeah. What is our plan for revenue? What is our plan for scaling? What is our marketing plan? When we launched this podcast, we had to have a plan for it. Yeah. Any business that you're going to start needs a business plan. We're going to put together, we actually have at the end of this episode, we're going to give you a link that you can download, a really cool template for you to create your own business plan. So make sure you listen to the end of this episode so you can snag it. But these are all elements that are super important if you're going to have a business. If you want a business, you got to treat it like a business.
Yes.
What were some of the things that you felt really were pivotal for us that helped it be successful? Because I think a lot of people are like, well, you can plan it, but what if it fails? You know, I think obviously we've had this success. We've had failures too. Don't get me wrong. But what are some of the things that you feel were really pivotal for us having the success that we have had?
Honestly, the biggest thing for me, because maybe this was just like my personal thing, but it was the time management and treating it like a business. Because just because you walk away from a 9 to 5, immediately your schedule is going to, in a way, completely open up. Obviously, you're not getting your income, but your schedule is going to completely open up. So if you do not treat every day, or if you just want to do whatever, however many days you want to quote unquote work, if you do not treat that time like it is a job and you're working on your business, it's never going to get accomplished.
Yep.
So like if every day you're just like, oh, well, I have the time, so I'm just going to go do something for 2-3 hours, then I'll come back and then I'll work on it. And then I'll quit. Like you're screwed if you do that. I'm just going to be honest. Like you need to be like, these are my goals this week for my business plan or whatever it is you're going after. Like set the time, sit down and treat it like a business, even though you're not getting paid yet.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's my biggest, I think, piece of advice I could offer, because you actually helped me with that. Because there was a little bit of time where it was like, hey, like, I know you're relaxing a little bit just because I came out of such a hustle job, and it was like, okay, I'm going to chill a little bit. And even you told me to do that. You're like, hey, like,
no, I was like, you need to take
recharge.
6 months to like
calm
your central nervous system.
Immediately I was like, I'm going to go get this job. I could do this in the time being. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, you're not going down that same road. I was like,
it was like repeating the pattern.
I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do with my time. Like, I'm freaking out, you know? And you're like, start mapping. It was like, oh, okay. So time management, taking control of the goals that you want to achieve for your business in a certain amount of time.
Well, when you remove the boss, when you remove that, upper, you're like, well, what do I do? What do I do with my time? So you have to figure out,
no one's watching over me. No one's.
Yeah. So you have to figure out, well, really the biggest thing I would say is what is the reverse engineer it. So that's what you need to do if you're creating a business plan. Reverse engineer the whole thing. What is the sale that you're going to make? What is the product that you're offering? What's the solution that you're offering?
Yeah.
That is, at the end of the day, if you don't have that, if you don't know what your product is, the plan doesn't matter. You could have the best marketing. You could be on social media every day, but who cares? You need to have the reverse engineered plan in place. So start with that. I would say, let's figure out what the product is. Okay, once you have the product, who is the audience that you're going to sell it to? Once you have the audience, okay, check on that. How are we going to sell it to them? What is the marketing strategy? What's the content strategy? What are we doing there? And then you can talk about retention. There you can talk about even upselling to future products or services. But really you have to start at the beginning, which really it is not the beginning for them, but it's the beginning for you of, well, what am I selling now? If you want to be a baker, if you want to be a fitness, instructor, personal trainer, virtual, if you want to sell coaching, if you want to be a virtual assistant, if you want to be, sell marketing coach, whatever.
Yeah.
If you have a physical product you want to sell, whatever it is, start there and with a solution and then the audience. And that's a template we're going to give you. So it's going to help you with that.
It's so good. I love it.
So kind of wrapping it up, I think, breaking out of a 9 to 5, it's a big hurdle in your mind more than anything. What is the last piece of advice you would give to someone who is about to take the leap, but they're scared, but they know in their gut that they need to do it, but they're also like just playing around with not?
The biggest piece of advice is whatever you're deciding to do, you have your business plan, whatever it is, there's going to be times on this journey where you fail and things are, like you said, very hard. And I think the quicker you can just accept that and know that that's part of the process of getting from A to B, it'll go a lot smoother. I think if you jump off and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to have this at this point and this at this point, it might not go that way, and it's okay. Like you have to be able to pivot and adjust. It's like that's it.
Gold.
Yeah.
Gold. And I would say, to piggyback on that, is to feed your mind with what you want it to believe. Because your mind is going to tell you, it's going to play games with you. It's going to tell you a lot of different things. Feed your mind what you want it to believe. Do the inner work. Even, embodiment work is really powerful too. Breath work, meditation. You're changing your identity.
Yeah. When
you go from, I am a 9 to 5 corporate worker, to now I'm entrepreneur, that doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
You don't just fall into it. It doesn't just like one day you like flip a switch. You're changing an identity of who you are. And a lot of that is deeply rooted, and it's very deep work to actually create a new identity around this. And recognize what comes up for you. Recognize the feelings of unsafety. Recognize the feelings of uncertainty, of fear that come up. And things like breath work and meditation can really help you navigate that. And obviously mindset work as well is so important, but that's going to be part of you building a new identity, because if you've been one way for so long and now you're going to change it, it takes work to change that.
Yeah. No, that's so good. And I feel like we can keep going with some stuff, but like my final point is don't, like I said, don't do it alone. I know I had you to be like, hey, like you kind of push me in certain areas, but like I said, maybe look for a mentor, but like there's easy things to do that you can like find support. And for me, one of those things is so simple. I joined Facebook groups. I literally went on and searched like the industry I was trying to get in, and there's so many Facebook groups of people kind of wanting to do the same thing, and
so
you can
cute.
literally, I know
some of their posts in there, I'm like,
dude,
I love it. Everyone's supporting each other.
I still get the feed, and I'm like looking at them, and it's people being like, hey guys, I'm having a hard day. I had this happen today. Can you offer any support? And there's like hundreds of comments, like literally Facebook groups. There's actually like a lot of really good people and nice people who are looking just to help others succeed. So like,
I love that.
There are people out there who want to see you win.
There's so many good people in the world.
There are.
Don't think that there's not.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Trust Issues Podcast. We want you to know that if you are branching out from your 9-to-5 and you're taking a big step, we believe in you. We are cheering you on, and we know you can do it. We have a template for you that's going to help you create a business plan for this big leap. You can go to www.trustissuespodcast.co/bizplan. We'll also link it in the show notes. We want you to download it, use it to create your plan, to leave your 9-to-5, and to start making your dreams a reality. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you love it, and we'll see you next time.